You're watching TAG TV.
Good evening. Welcome to South Asia Newsline. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Here are the top stories we're tracking for you on Monday, the 30th of April. Security forces gunned down 2 militants in encounter in India's Jammu and Kashmir. Twin blast in Afghan capital kill at least 29, including 8 journalists. And Buddhists in India mark birth anniversary of Buddha. And now for all the details. Security forces on Monday gunned down 2 terrorists during an encounter in Pulwama district of India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province. The slain terrorist belonged to Pakistan-based Hizbul Mujahideen terror group.
2 terrorists were gunned down by security forces during an encounter in Pulwama district of India's northern Jammu and Kashmir province on Monday. The encounter between the terrorists and the security forces broke out in village in Pulwama after a joint cordon and search operation was launched by the police and paramilitary forces. The slain terrorists were identified as Samir Tiger and Aqib Khan. Such militant encounters are not new in India's Jammu and Kashmir province. India blames Pakistan for regularly training and assisting armed militants to infiltrate its borders and spread unrest in the Kashmir Valley. Pakistan denies the allegations.
In news from Pakistan, the last witness recorded a statement on Monday in a corruption reference against Pakistan's ousted Premier Nawaz Sharif and his family. Sharif, along with his daughter Maryam Nawaz and son-in-law retired Captain Mohammad Safdar, appeared before the court as it recorded the testimony of the investigation officer of the Avonfield corruption reference. An accountability court has been hearing a total of 3 corruption references against Sharif and his family for owning assets beyond known sources of income. The references were filed by the National Accountability Bureau in light of the Supreme Court's Panama Papers case verdict last year. Sharif and his 2 sons, accused in all 3 references, whereas Maryam and Safdar are named in the Avonfield reference only. The next hearing in the case is scheduled to be held on the 2nd of May. Moving on, protests were held recently against the Pakistani government in Rawalpindi city against the discriminatory Karachi Agreement of 1949. The protesters raised slogans against the pact, which they said deprived residents of significant powers and basic rights.
An anti-Pakistan protest was held recently in Pakistan's Rawalpindi city against the Karachi Agreement of 1949. The Karachi Agreement, which was signed on April 28, 1949 with the government of Pakistan-administered Kashmir, gave control of the affairs of Gilgit-Baltistan directly to Pakistani government, which then based in Karachi. The protesters raised slogans against the pact, which had no representation from Gilgit-Baltistan and further deprived residents of significant powers and basic rights.
कि किसी एक एरिया को भी आप ये नहीं कह सकते कि 70 सालों में हमने कोई प्रोग्रेस की है या हुकूमत पाकिस्तान ने इस इलाके को जो 70 सालों से उसकी इंतजामिया में है इसको बेहतर करने की कोई कोशिश की है। कोई तालीमी इदारे में वो कोई खास डेवलपमेंट पेश नहीं कर सकते, वो सेहत के मैदान में कोई मिसाली इदारा, कोई मिसाली हस्पताल नहीं पेश कर सकते, वो तामीर और तरक्की के मामले में कोई सड़क तक नहीं पेश कर सकते।
Residents of Gilgit-Baltistan blame Islamabad has consistently maintained its oppressive attitude towards people of the region and has even ignored their basic demands. A part of the erstwhile Jammu and Kashmir province of India, Gilgit-Baltistan was annexed by Pakistan illegally more than 6 decades ago.
In news from Afghanistan, at least 29 persons, including journalists, were killed as 2 explosions hit Afghan capital Kabul on Monday. Militant group Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the 2 bombings.
2 explosions hit Afghan capital Kabul during the morning rush hour on Monday, killing more than 28 persons and injuring several, officials said. Monday's first explosion close to the buildings of the NDS Intelligence Service was followed by one outside the headquarters of the Ministry of Urban Development and Housing, just as people were entering the government office. Militant group Islamic State has claimed the responsibility for the two bombings.
توانست گفته میشه که در بین هنمی مطبوعات ما کامرا جای با جای کردن و خود انتحار کردن که اکثرا سبب شهادت و مجروریت ژورنالیست‌های عزیز ما و یک تعداد هموطنان ما که در می بلاک‌ها زندگی داشتن و راهروایی که اینجا می رفتن البته توقف کرده بودند تا ساحه را ببینن شهید و زخمی شدند.
Monday's explosion were the latest in a wave of violence that has killed and wounded thousands in the country. The attacks came just a week after a blast at the voter registration center killed 60 people in the wake of warnings by security officials against the risk of increasing attacks ahead of parliamentary elections planned in October.
More on news from Afghanistan. Soon after the Afghanistan's Independent Election Commission announced it has prepared the database for the voter registration process for the upcoming polls, election watchdogs called on the poll body to let them observe the data entry process in view of transparency. The poll panel so far has claimed that more than 600,000 people have registered since the start of the process on April 14th.
The Independent Election Commission or IEC of Afghanistan on Saturday announced it has prepared a database for the voter registration process through which provincial heads of the institution can update data on a daily basis. Despite the progress, members of Afghanistan civil society institutions and election observers seem skeptical about the poll body's ability to manage the database. However, officials from IEC have assured the public about the transparency of the process, saying that no one should be concerned about the transparency and credibility of the voters' database.
از هر ولایت جدا میه باز طریق ایمیل بر بخش صاحبی ما روان میکنه و در این دیتابیس ها میتن و میرسانن.
فرصت نظارت نزدیک بر نهادها داده نشده که از این دیتابیس دیدن بکنن، از قابلیت های تکنیکی از این اطمینان حاصل بکنن و پیدا بکنن که میزان تا چی حد هم برای دقت احصایه و هم برای پاسخگویی در قسمت شفافیت آمار و ارقام.
According to the IEC, more than 600,000 people have registered since the start of the voter registration process on April 14. From the figure, 150,000 are women. The poll body said that the women's turnout in Afghanistan's major cities in the north and southern Helmand province is higher compared to other provinces.
After remaining closed for 6 months, the doors of Kedarnath Temple, one of the holiest hill shrines for Hindus in India's Uttarakhand province, reopened on Sunday. Devotees from across the country visited the shrine, which was decorated with flowers in the picturesque foreground of ice-capped Himalayan hills.
The doors of Kedarnath Temple, one of the holiest hill shrines for Hindus in India's northern Uttarakhand province, were reopened for devotees on Sunday after remaining closed for 6 months due to the heavy snowfall. Devotees stood in long queues stretching out of the temple as they were awaited their turn to offer prayers to Hindu god of destruction, Shiva. The temple was decorated spectacularly with flowers in the picturesque foreground of ice-capped Himalayan hills.
दरबार पे अंदर दरवाजे के पास बैठ के पाठ पूरा हुआ है। मैं बाबा का बहुत बहुत आभारी हूँ। मैं जो मांगता हूँ सो मिलता है। पहली बार आया हूँ लेकिन मेरी मन की पूरी इच्छा हुई है।
ऐसी अनुभूति होती है कि हम स्वर्ग में ही आए हैं। बर्फीले पहाड़ पहली बार ही आए, इस अनुभव बहुत ही अच्छा हुआ है और बोले बाबा हमें हर साल बुलाए, यही मनोकामना करते हैं।
An evening before the temple doors were thrown open to the devotees, a special laser show was organized explaining mythological story of the Lord Kedarnath. The temple is a shrine dedicated to Shiva and is a part of the popular Hindu pilgrimage route, which includes 4 destinations covering 4 temple towns of Kedarnath, Badrinath, Gangotri and Yamunotri in Uttarakhand. The temple will shut down again on October 21st for its annual 6-month winter break and will reopen in summers.
Buddhists across India celebrated the festival of Buddha Purnima on Monday. Buddha Purnima, which falls on a full moon day, marks the birth anniversary of Lord Buddha. It is also commemorated as the day of his enlightenment and death.
Buddhist devotees across India carried out grand processions, visited monasteries and offered prayers to Lord Buddha to mark his birth anniversary on Monday. Buddha Purnima, which falls on a full moon day, marks the birth anniversary of Gautam Buddha. It is also commemorated as the day of his enlightenment and death. Devotees from different parts of India and across the globe converge at the ancient Mahabodhi temple in eastern holy town of Bodh Gaya, where Buddha was believed to have attained enlightenment.
और हम सब का संदेश है ह्यूमैनिटी के लिए, मानवता के लिए कि शांति, ट्रैंक्विलिटी, सौहार्द ये पूरे विश्व में पहुंचे.
Worshippers from all walks of life paid obeisance to Lord Buddha, who practiced peace and tranquility in all circumstances. He encouraged his followers to adopt a path of non-violence combined with amicability and goodwill.
विश्व के 56 देश लगभग मानते हैं और उनके वजह से पूरे विश्व में शांति फैलेगी. हम लोग का यही उद्देश्य है कि विश्व में शांति रहे, भाईचारा बना रहे और बौद्ध धर्म के लोग विचारों को फॉलो करें ताकि जो है लड़ाई झगड़े या इस तरह से हिंसा न हो सके.
Devotees also took holy dips in river Ganges in northern Allahabad city on the occasion, as they believe it rids them from the cycle of rebirth and help attain salvation. Though Buddhism originated in India, the religion gained tremendous popularity throughout the world.
A charitable trust in India's financial capital Mumbai launched a free bike ambulance service on Sunday to help patients and enable their swift movement throughout the traffic in case of an emergency. The idea of the unique ambulance is to cover long distances to hospitals in a short period of time.
A charitable trust in India's financial capital Mumbai on Sunday launched a free bike ambulance service to help patients and enable their swift movement through traffic in case of any emergency. The foundation, backed by a local lawmaker, has come up with the idea which will carry patients to hospitals free of cost. The aim of the unique ambulance is to cover long distances, hospitals in short period of time, as sometimes ambulances get stuck in traffic and it is not possible for them to get in a narrow lanes.
ऐसे कई इलाके हैं जहाँ पे बड़ी एम्बुलेंस जा नहीं सकती है और पेशेंट को स्ट्रेचर पे बाहर लेके आना पड़ता है. तो हमने ये सब ने मिलकर सोचा और ये एम्बुलेंस बनवा के लिए ये एम्बुलेंस छोटी छोटी गलियों में भी जा सकती है और इसमें वो सारी सुविधा हैं जो कि एक बड़ी एम्बुलेंस में होती है. ऑक्सीजन सिलेंडर है, पेशेंट को सुलाने का है, ज़रूरत पड़े तो पीछे डॉक्टर भी साथ में बैठ सकता है, इमरजेंसी मेडिकल किट है.
The aim of the unique ambulance is to cover long distances of hospitals in short period of time, as sometimes ambulances get stuck in traffic and it is not possible for them to get in narrow lanes. Such ambulances are not a new concept in India. Motorcycle ambulance has saved lives of hundreds of people in remote areas of India's central Chhattisgarh province, known for dense forest areas, since the services were launched last July. In southern Bengaluru city and Hyderabad too, the service have proved a boon for patients, especially accident victims.
Well, that's the way it was in South Asia this evening. Before we conclude, the top stories once again. Security forces gunned down 2 militants in encounter in India's Jammu and Kashmir. Twin blast in Afghan capital kill at least 29, including 8 journalists. And Buddhists in India mark birth anniversary of Buddha. Now our viewers can watch the show on SouthAsiaNewsline.com. You can also visit us on Facebook.com/SAsiaNewsline and follow us on Twitter @SAsiaNewsline. That's all in tonight's edition. We'll see you same time tomorrow. Good night.
You're watching TEG TV.